everybody. This is Two. I'm here with,
Paying her.
and we are the No Eggs Podcast, aka Hmong. Tell them.
Oh, no K podcast.
No
Yeah, my
Egg
bad. Holy
Podcast.
shit.
Yeah, and we're on. I think we're recording episode number 10,
10?
today.
10?
So it's been what 2-3 months. It seems like it hasn't been that long. I think it's only been.
No. Yeah, only a couple
3
months.
months,
Yeah,
maybe.
3 months. It's actually been super fun. Like, we've had guests on for the past, 4 or 5 episodes. So I think this is our first one in a little while without guests. So
Yeah, we've had a nice mix of like. The first few podcasts we did together was just us.
Yeah.
So we got to meet and learn each other a little better.
yeah.
And then it went to guests. And then we've had a variety of guests. We've had like a couple girls, a couple
Yeah.
guys, way different, everybody with very different like backgrounds. You know, I think the only commonality was just that they were all, well, no, not, I was going to say they're all Hmong, but James
James,
was
yeah, our first
Filipino.
guest.
Yeah, but yeah, we've had a nice blend of guys and girls doing like different things
Yep.
and being very passionate in their
Yeah.
own world.
And I think those episodes are doing well because, well, one, I think every guest brings in their own audience, which is great. But man, hopefully we don't become like guest dependent. Just
Yeah.
because, I just because I do like doing them with you.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard to schedule guests too. It's hard to line some of these guests up just because everyone's busy. But yeah, it's been super fun with the guests. We've had some pretty big ones.
Yeah, who do we have? Let's
see.
recap to
So
our
our first
people.
guest
So
was James,
yes, which James is
your videographer.
my
And then he's going
videographer.
to school for
correct, a PsyD. So
yep.
he's gonna be a psychologist.
Yep. And then we had Ku on
Yep. Cool. Shout out to Cool again.
from War Man Muay
Yep.
Thai. And then we had another James.
James.
Lots of James in the building.
James Vang.
James,
Power build-
Hmong powerlifter based out of Georgia, world's strongest Hmong person. And then we had Pa,
Yep.
Hmong artist,
Pahoy.
who is in Thailand right now.
Correct. She's in Laos right now.
In Laos right
Yeah,
now.
she's
So
doing
shout
a-
out to her.
a
I've
two-
been seeing some of her posts, and it seems like she's having a blast out there. So
Yeah, she's on
Good
a
for her.
2-month tour of Laos, Thailand. I think she said Vietnam too. I think.
yeah, yep.
So she's touring Southeast Asia, kind of.
Yeah, and so that was pretty interesting because we talked a little bit about Hmong porn. I had a lot of, I don't know if you had a lot of questions about that, but there was like a bunch of, I got a lot of good feedback about that. I mean, not.
I read some of her comments that came
Yeah.
through on that video. I mean, and I knew that topic was gonna rile up some people.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but the thing is, like, until that day, I had probably heard of it maybe one time, like loosely.
yeah.
That's not a thing that we talk about. You know, it's not even
No.
thought about. Like, I never even thought about that subject. But I'm so glad that Pa came on and brought it up because
Yeah.
it's a very real thing that is happening in our community, in our culture, and it's taboo if you want to think of it as taboo. I don't think of it as taboo. It's just another industry.
Right.
But we never seem to associate Hmong people with it. But the
Yeah.
truth is that there is a huge Hmong.
Right, and there's a market for it.
There's a market for it
And
too. Yeah.
I think it was hard for me to have that conversation too because like it took me a long time to separate, just because I think we kind of know what's going on over there with the we have some background information. Like it's hard for me to separate the industry and then to separate that with like some of the human trafficking going on down there.
right.
And then kind of the Hmong marriage.
And there's
kinda
always
going on.
when you talk about the two, it's always so easy to also blend and mix the two.
Yeah,
You know, so it's like when we were talking about on the podcast, like we were just talking about the idea, the topic, but we don't know. We haven't done the research to
Right.
see like
and without
legit
seeing the
and-
actual
yeah.
video too, like I think Pa was talking about like there's an actual
right, like it's a real production.
yeah, it's like an actual movie. So and it took a long time for that to even register in my head.
Yeah.
But then after listening to I listened to the conversations like 50 times just because
Yeah.
like I'm like editing all the videos and stuff, and making all the reels. But like I listened to it like 50 times, and about halfway through I was like, oh yeah, I have like to distinguish the difference. And then once a bunch of people brought it up to me, that's when I went, oh, okay, yeah, there's a difference between the two.
Yeah.
And in order for us to have a like an intellectual conversation about it, we have to separate those.
Yep.
Um,
Or we have to distinguish at least which one are we talking about.
yeah,
Which
exactly,
one are we narrowly speaking
exactly.
of? Because yeah, it's like I said, it can be tabooed. It can be
Yeah,
something tough to talk about, and it's
yeah,
but it's a real thing that's out there.
yeah.
So I mean, I don't know why shy away from it. It is out
Right.
there.
And so that
It
that
is
is an
happening.
interesting topic. Like I definitely look forward to talking to her some more about that at some point, or anybody else
Yeah.
that wants to come on and talk about that. Um, and then let's see who our next guest was. Oh, and
Oh
then last week we had
yeah,
Sophia.
we
That
had
was big for
Sophia.
us. All right, so this whole week, my phone has been buzzing off the hook.
Yeah,
Just
she's got an audience, that's for sure.
yeah,
If there's one thing I will say is she's got a huge audience because we brought her on because you went to high school with her and
yeah,
you didn't know her a bunch. Sounds like you knew
yeah,
her like a decent amount. And so for her to come on and talk and I felt like it was a great conversation.
yeah.
I love the conversation. I love where it went. When we do these conversations with our guests, a lot of times like me and Ping are we're pretty much all on the same page of like let's just be organic and not even really have a script or
Right.
questions. Like we don't really want that. We want to just talk with the person and
Yeah.
let our natural curiosities develop and open up conversations and topics. And all the topics that we talked with Sophia were they're really good because I don't have a ton in common with makeup stuff. Obviously, I don't
Right.
use makeup, right? But we still found so many commonality as far as like work ethic,
Oh, for sure.
balancing work life balance, balancing being a mother with children, and at the same time running a business, the pressures of social media, how that affects her, how
Yeah.
that affects her husband. So, like, we found all these different topics that we could talk with Sophia, and yeah, I enjoyed the
Yeah,
conversation.
it was super fun and I think very relatable to a lot of people
Yeah.
too. Um, and something like I guess like I never realized until we started doing it was like, she does so much content, but like I've never heard her tell her story in
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool. Even my wife brought it up over the weekend. She was like, "Oh yeah, I've never heard
And she
this
was,
side."
and what I loved about Sophia being here too is she's just like all of her guests. I don't
Yeah.
know if it's us or the way we communicate or talk with people, but like all of her guests have been so open to like just genuine, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
genuine,
They were very
open,
authentic.
yeah, very
Yeah.
authentic, genuine openness to sharing their struggles, their success. Very humble too. A lot of them,
Yeah.
probably too humble. Some of
Yeah,
them,
yeah.
just so humble to like just be like, yeah, I haven't got there, I haven't done that. But the truth is that they've all done like pretty amazing things.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm gonna give us the credit for that. I would like to think we did that, or no, I'm gonna say we did that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give
no,
us the credit for that.
yeah,
That
definitely.
we, I think, hopefully we create not not hopefully we do create an environment that's like welcoming to the guests and just kind of and we just kind of give people space
Yeah,
to
we're a
like
safe
talk and
space.
yeah,
With a safe
exactly,
space.
exactly. So if you got something to talk about or something to share, a story, or if you're working on an interesting project, come on to the Noke podcast
Yeah, let us
and
know. Let us
yeah,
know. We're always looking for guests. So if you have listened to us, if you saw us on IG or TikTok or YouTube
yeah,
or on the Hmong American Experience has shared our things
hell
a few
yeah,
times. But if you've seen us and you have a good story to share, you got something that you want to put out there to the world, our mission has always been the same and it continues to be the same thing. Spreading positive energy
exactly.
through the Hmong community, through the Southeast Asian community, to talk about both really fun achievements
Mm-hmm.
and also tough, difficult times that we all go through.
Yeah.
And, so it's
Yeah, so man, it's been great, and it's been so fun
yeah,
doing
it's been
that,
a lot of
man.
fun.
Yeah, and
I've
just
enjoyed
hearing
it.
everybody's like stories, like, and then like, Koo. I know we both know Koo pretty well, but it was really cool to bring him on too, and it's so. And I said it during the pod, but like, it's so cool to see him win, just because we've known and we've seen how
Yeah,
hard he's been working, and I think like one takeaway I got from that podcast was just like how important it is to just be like overall like a good individual.
yeah,
He talked about all the people he's helped along the way, and then um, and we know of people that he's helped along the way that he
yeah,
didn't talk about on the pod, um, and so it's just it's so important to just be not be an asshole to people, and at some point or another, people, if they can, or if they want to, they'll turn around and return that favor if
Yeah.
it's possible. And just putting out good energy, like
Yeah.
that's so important. That's my biggest takeaway from Cool. um and yeah, and I loved all of the guests. I mean,
Yeah.
they were all fun,
And
but
comeback stories too, I'd say. A lot
yeah,
of comeback stories, right?
yeah,
A lot of these characters, a lot of these individuals we've talked to, um, oh shit, I mean, for the most part, the ones that we talked to kind of had like a tougher, like they had their own set of challenges through high school and stuff like
yeah,
that. Like they weren't just all like 4.0s, 3.5 GPAs, valedictorians. And if the kids who are that, that's great. But we're just talking about the guests that we've had so far. The
yep,
guests we've had so far have all had kind of like a set of struggles through their high school years and stuff like that, and then overcame those, and now are doing like, I mean, they're
great
they're at the
things.
top of their heap, you
Yep.
know. So it's
Yeah, I
yeah.
think there's only two. I think James was the only one in college, um, or that went
Well,
to
yeah,
college,
and then
and then me, of course.
yeah,
But I'm a bum,
and
so.
Pa,
Oh yeah,
but
yeah,
Pa
but
came,
she,
but
yeah,
she came from the GED background, so
yeah,
you
yep.
know
So yeah, she ended
there
up
was
getting her
some
GED,
struggles.
and then yeah, that was big too. A lot of people really
Yeah,
enjoyed
that
that.
short that
Yeah,
you made about her getting her GED, going from GED to Yale.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. A lot of
it's a
people,
hell of a
that
story.
was big too. But speaking of Yale and college and high school, did you see that current event? There was a current event. There was an Asian kid that had perfect SAT scores. He was like a 4.6 GPA. I don't even know how you get a
Hmm.
4.6 GPA, but like I guess he didn't get accepted to like Harvard or any of the top
Hmm.
Ivy League schools, and he's kind of bitching online about that. Have you heard about that?
I've not. But tell me a little bit about it.
Look
What
it
you?
up. Look it up. I forget his
Yeah.
name, but basically um, he's like he's got perfect score on SATs, 4.6 GPA. Didn't get accepted to any of the top Ivy League schools. And then right now, the conversation right now in the community is like, oh, he's like blaming affirmative action. And so the conversation in the Asian community right now is affirmative action racist? Is affirmative action like good or bad? Do we need it? And is it bad for Asian, or does it negatively affect Asian Americans? I guess. Um, and you could pull it up, and we could talk a little bit more about that. But um, what do you think about that?
I mean, are they saying that affirmative action is? Let's see.
The community is pretty much split. Like there's a segment of the community, of the Asian community, that goes, "Hey, this is kind of racist towards us. Like this isn't, um, like you know, you know, like this is working against us." And so it's, and by definition, it is kind of racist. And then there's the other half of the population that goes, well, I mean, affirmative action overall does a good thing, and it helps kind of the disenfranchised community, and it helps like the greater Asian community.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I
I mean, you would think that you get accepted just based on scores alone, right? I mean,
yes,
that is the most. That would be the capitalist way of saying like the most qualified enters.
exactly.
And we've heard. Well, I mean, we even heard. Was it Joe Rogan and stuff? They have talked about
Yeah,
how they're like, yeah, they're gonna basically minimize how many Asian Americans they enter because they've taken over like too
right.
many of the seats inside the school, and
Yeah,
so they
yeah,
want to rebalance
yeah,
the equation of color and
yeah,
diversity.
yeah.
I mean, I'm a big proponent of the best qualified enters,
Right,
you know,
right.
maybe because I'm a business owner and that's just always the way I've looked. I mean, I was kind
Yep.
of raised in that system too, in the military and stuff like that. It's
Mm-hmm.
always like, hey, the cream of the crop rises to the top, and we take that.
Yeah.
Not to say I'm not for spreading wealth throughout different social
Right.
groups, social economic groups, and stuff like that. I think that's necessary too. But I don't know. I'm not. I guess I'm not the one that can speak about
No,
how I
no.
would divide that. That sounds
Yeah.
like a much bigger social challenge that I would like to undertake.
Yeah. But I think everyone, I think it's okay for everyone to have a take. Like, I think you and I, we kind of share similar views. One, I want to premise that I think affirmative action is overall like a good thing. Um, um, and there is a segment of, I mean, the Asian community is so vast. That includes so many different languages, so many different ethnic groups. Some ethnic groups are doing much better than others. And so I would say that it definitely helps more than it hurts, if we're
Yeah.
talking about whether or not it's good. But I'm also okay with this idea, especially at the most elite of the elite schools, that if they just accept based on your like qualifications,
Yeah.
and based on test scores. Like, I think there's room for that, and there's also room for affirmative action, in maybe some of the smaller schools. I think one of the issues right now that we're seeing here amongst young people is student loans, um, and I think.
Oh, that's a whole different topic, man. Don't give me
Oh no,
don't get us started on that
yeah,
topic.
but
That
like,
topic is that part, man. I am student loans is to me is such a crippling concept for our youth.
yeah,
You
and
know.
so my thing is like, all right, I I think college is great. I think affirmative action is great, but I think if you're accepting all these people into colleges, giving them federal loans, like, I think we have to also do a better job at preparing them for college, because
Yeah.
now like schools are just they're accepting everybody, right? And then they all end up going there, and I think our freaking dropout rate is like 25% or something like that. And I think even higher in like in amongst like certain ethnicity groups.
Yeah.
Um, so then you send them to college, you know, that and you accept them into a college that they're unprepared for, and then you give them a loan that they have to pay back at some point, and they don't actually end up graduating or do anything with that degree.
Yeah.
I think it sets them up poorly. I think my point is, and going back to the affirmative action, is I think schools have to be more careful. It's okay for schools to be more selective.
Mhm.
Um, I think.
But I think people forget, or I'm sure people know, schools are a business too. So,
Yeah.
there's I'm sure there's two ways to think about their system. I'm sure part of it is how do we get the most qualified students in here to elevate our because they're gonna come in, they're gonna do
Hmm.
labs and projects and papers and dissertations, and all those things will make the school look good, but then they also gotta play the politics part of
Right.
like how many of this minority group can we have? What makes it looks progressive? You know how they always talk about
Yeah.
college university that's
See,
so
and
progressive these
I think
days?
it's the latter that I kind of have an issue with. It's like, one, do you care about these community groups, and are you just bringing them on?
Right, or you
And
just playing the
because I think
politics.
you end up doing more harm to them, to these community groups, that if you bring them on, you're not taking care of them properly. You're not giving them the resources that they need to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
Then now you're just sending them off into the world with a bunch of student loan debt, and you're setting them poorly up to, uh, yeah, you're just setting them up poorly. But I, it is such a hot topic.
Mm-hmm.
But I think at the highest level, I think it is absolutely okay for them. I think they should
Yeah, based on your merit.
yeah,
Based
based
on
on
your
like, yeah,
merit. Yeah.
accomplishments, your
I
merits, yeah,
agree. I mean, it's kind of how America is built too. It's a
right,
capitalist society. Best of
yeah,
the best of the best go to the top. So I'm not saying that's not everybody, and I'm not even gonna
yeah,
dive into it because it's gonna be so long because everybody's backgrounds and influences and there's so many
right, yeah,
factors that go into it. But yeah,
and
I kind of agree with you too. It's
yeah.
like at a certain point at a high level, it's like you're picking the best, not which form you See, but that's so hard for me to say too,
Yeah,
because that's
yeah,
so hard for me to say too, because if we're to say that we're only selecting the best, and if 100% of your best, let's just say, and this is just hypothetical, if 100% of your best was Caucasian, and then you just had 100% representation Caucasian, then I feel like I'd have a problem with that too.
yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly,
it's like it's a
exactly.
little bit too. It's
Yeah,
at that point you're like, well, what's going on here? Like,
yeah,
but I mean, but you couldn't, you, you know, you. It would definitely be the best of the best. If your best 100 is Caucasian American, then it is what it is. That
right.
is your
Yeah,
best, right?
yep,
That's what we want.
yep,
That's what we talked about. That's what we would like.
yep.
But I'd be lying if I said that I was totally cool with that. I'd be
Yeah,
like, whoa,
yeah,
whoa, whoa, hold up. Let's throw like a black guy in there. Let's
yep.
throw an Asian dude in there.
And I think from what we've seen is like that's usually not the case too, though, right?
Yeah,
And I
there is
think if
more
we
of a
do the best
divide.
of best, like I think there's uh maybe like not an even distribution of people, but I
Yeah.
think there's also when it comes to running a business, we talk about and I don't want to talk about we talk about diversity, but not diversity in cultures, but diversity in thought processes.
Yeah.
I think people that from different backgrounds can bring new ideas, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that's like the true definition of diversity. And so I think for anybody that running a company, you kind of want that, right? You want people to
Yeah.
come in that can innovate, that can bring their own authentic and new ideas to help you grow your company. Um, so I think that factors into it as well too. But I don't know, it's so hard. But to this kid, I think I don't know the exact circumstances. Also, you don't need college anymore. It's a dying model. It sounds like this kid is
Sounds like
pretty
he's
smart.
smart
Like
enough.
he
Yeah.
like created his own
Sounds like he's
golf app
plenty
or something
smart.
like that. You're gonna be just fine.
Yeah.
You kind of don't need it. Does it help? Sure.
And you know what we'll have to do is I'll have to try to invite like I need to we need to find like somebody works in the colleges or the universities, like either
Yeah.
in admissions or
Yeah, but their views are skewed. They're doing.
they probably
They're doing their
they
job.
probably
Yeah,
can't speak. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They
yeah.
probably
Those guys are
cannot.
doing. Yeah,
They
yeah.
probably could not
And
speak as freely as
yeah,
they would want to.
and
That's
no, and I
that's
have friends in that field too. Like I don't want to like say anything bad, but um, I just think I think college is great. It does open doors. I think affirmative action is great because it creates
yeah.
opportunities for
It
people
does
that
create some balance.
yeah, for that's maybe didn't have access to
Hmm.
some of those things prior. Um, do but yeah, I mean is it kind of fucked up? I get it, and I think people are kind of trying to say like, oh, this guy, you're just brains and whatever, yada
Yeah.
yada. They're trying to downplay his accomplishments. Like, no, this guy's a freaking genius, and it takes a lot of hard work to get perfect scores. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah.
I kind of don't care about that.
That's a
Whatever.
tough topic. Yeah.
Affirmative act. I don't know.
I'm not an
Affirmative
expert.
action is
I'm
good
not,
at
yeah. I'm
and
not an expert.
it does more good than bad.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
not an expert in the subject, so I'm not
yeah,
even gonna sit here and pretend that I am. But
yeah,
like I say, we've said this at the very beginning on podcast number one.
yeah,
We are not professionals of anything.
exactly.
We're not
Yeah,
experts of anything.
yeah,
We just chit chat, talk about topics that we hear out there. And if somebody's an expert, feel free to come
yeah,
tell us. Me and Peng are pretty much in the middle. We have our opinions for
yeah,
sure, but
yeah,
we tend to be on the side of like, let's just learn in the
yeah.
center
And
and
what
let's
makes
hear,
sense?
yeah, what makes
Yeah,
sense
what
to
makes
us. Yeah,
sense? Is it a little messed up? Sure. Does it do good? Yes.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
so whatever. Who cares? Back to something that we do care about.
yeah.
Do you see
What do we
weed
got?
just got legalized in Minnesota?
I sure did, and that to me is I have been waiting for. I'll just share my background because I'm
Yeah,
totally open to this. But
yeah,
I started probably experimenting with the marijuana when I was like 14, and
yeah, dude, same. Yeah, yeah,
and I've used it ever since.
yeah,
And some people say the biggest thing, my one of my biggest thing, I always have a crutch. I always put a chip on my shoulder of some sort, and it was always the idea of like, yeah, marijuana is gonna make you a pothead. It's gonna make you lazy. You're gonna end up on a couch eating Funyuns and
mm-hmm.
not doing shit with your life. And to me, it's always been like, wait, I'm a marijuana user. I run distance. I
Hmm.
work out. I've been able to become a fireman, a business owner. I've been able to do all those things and still be a consumer of the marijuana.
Yeah.
So now I'm not saying that the youth should use it at a young age. There definitely needs to be
Right.
regulations, and they're coming up with all those.
Yeah.
Whatever the politicians merit, that is the right thing to do. I'm not going to speak for the politicians, but I will say that I'm not saying use it in your youth. I don't think it's really good there. There's definitely an age where your brain is probably more susceptible to having damage caused by the marijuana. But if I was to speaking from my years as a firefighter and through my own consumption of the marijuana through the years, is first of all, as a firefighter, I never really saw people do crazy things that were just
Mm.
high on weed,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
It was always a hard drug,
Yep.
meth, opiates, or it was alcohol 90% of the time.
Yep.
So to me, that was just enough social proof with my own eyes
Yeah.
to say that marijuana is not the problem here.
Right.
The problem here is alcohol. Alcohol makes people go completely blackout,
Yeah.
fight people, kill
Yeah.
people, stab people, crash cars and kill others, domestic violence. It all like alcohol. I've seen so much of it, and then like that's one thing, and then alcohol. There's also bad alcoholism, withdrawals, which
Hmm.
makes people go into seizures or even die.
Yeah.
So I've seen all that, and so to me, I'm like, for being a weed user for so long, I'm like, yo, the weed doesn't do that to you. The weed is
Right.
much more subtle. It still makes you paranoid, hungry, thirsty, things like that. There's
Yeah.
definitely signs and
But you ain't
symptoms,
killing nobody.
but you're not. Yeah, it
You're
doesn't
not
put you in
causing
that
harm
mindset
to anybody.
exactly.
Yeah.
So when you bring that up, and sorry, you guys can probably hear it through this, that I am marijuana to me when it came legal was like a celebratory day in
Yeah.
my life to
Hell yeah.
say finally we're okay with allowing marijuana, and some people have talked to me about how tough it's gonna be
Yeah.
to have your licenses to either grow or do all these different things. And I believe in Minnesota, I think it's I heard like up to 2 ounces you can
Yeah.
have,
That's a lot of weed.
which is a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
weed.
Yeah.
And then you can grow like a few plants, like maybe two or
Okay.
three plants.
Hell yeah.
um yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things they still got to figure out, right? How are they gonna test you? They're not using a breathalyzer, so it's like, how do they
Right. Right.
test you
Right.
now? All these things.
Yeah.
But I will say, just speaking for myself, I'm a big fan of this.
Yeah.
I'm very happy that marijuana is finally here. It's finally legal,
Yeah.
and I mean, like I said, I always go back to my world experiences, and my world experiences as a firefighter, dealing with the inner city, dealing with all the bad things that most society do not see. Of all the things that I've witnessed in my life, 9 years of just going to people, taking them to the hospital
Hmm.
because they were abusing a substance of some form. Marijuana was probably, like I said, I can remember like maybe 3 calls out of
Right.
thousands.
Yeah.
So it's
I'm
like,
surprised you even got 3 calls about it. Yeah.
I mean, most of the time they were like young people, probably under 18, who were like, "Oh my god, I'm freaking out." And most of the time
Yeah.
we were like, "Well, listen, just drink some water, watch this
Yeah.
movie, and you'll sleep, and this will wear out, and you'll be fine."
Yeah.
A lot of times marijuana, what it does cause for some people is anxiety, stuff like that too.
Yeah.
So if you already have bad anxiety, or you already have things like that, and you add marijuana to it, it's probably not great for you.
Yeah.
And everybody's different. Everybody will have to figure out that for themselves. But if there's one thing that I know for sure, is that alcohol it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah. And I had a similar, not a similar, but my start was similar to you. I was like pretty young then, and I smoked, um, and then I smoked a lot in my 20s, and I have an addictive
Yeah.
personality, so then I was like smoking a lot, and for me, it just because like I have less impulse control. I was
Mm-hmm.
smoking a lot, and what I realized was, like in my late 20s, I realized after smoking like 10 years straight, um, that I'm not one of those guys that could be productive and
Yeah.
smoke. And I have friends that can smoke and go about doing their day and get shit done and still be
Mm-hmm.
productive, smoke and go to work. I can't do that. And then it took me like freaking 10 years of smoking to realize that. And I kept telling myself, I am one of these people that can do it. And
Yeah.
I kept telling like, oh yeah, this serves my creative mind. And of course, like, I kept trying to justify it to myself. So like there was a period where I just had to stop.
Yeah.
Or just like, all right, it's not serving me the way I wanted it to. I have an impulse control and I have an addictive personality. Like I'm doing this too much. Um, so then I stopped, and I haven't done anything like I haven't smoked in
Yeah.
quite a while. Just every once in a blue moon, I will. I did eat an edible
Yeah.
like the other weekend, and I was out and about, and it was like really controlled, like a really controlled amount. So I am kind of excited about
Yeah.
that because I think when we were doing it when it was illegal, it's still illegal. But like,
Yes, until August.
yeah,
Until August.
but like when we were doing it as kids, it was like you never knew how much exactly you were taking.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of excited about this idea of like, all right, this is going to be more regulated.
Right.
Like you're not eating some muffin that somebody made in
Yeah.
somebody's kitchen
No,
and you're
yeah,
not
now
going to
you
be high for the next 3 days.
yeah, now
Because
you'll
that's
know.
like what happened to me. So like this idea that it's gonna be more regulated is kind of neat. The idea that you could grow your own plants is kind
Yeah.
of cool. I'm a farmer. I love growing plants, so I'm probably definitely gonna have a plant or two. I think it would just be cool to see, um, and like it's I don't know how much
Yeah.
I want to share,
I mean,
but yeah,
it's a huge
I,
industry, and
yeah,
the government is going to capitalize on it. But like, yo, marijuana has always been, if it wasn't actually smoking for the THC components and that
yeah,
the hemp has always been used as well in
yeah,
farming. It's been used in
yep.
clothing. It's been used in all kinds of things.
Yeah,
Um,
that's really exciting to see. Like I want to see like the byproducts of
yeah,
the hemp
exactly. It's
and
not
the
just
hemp
smoking
products.
it. There's like the plant itself
Yeah,
allows you to create fibers, and depends however
exactly.
creative
Oh,
you want to
dude, if
get with it.
somebody can make me a freaking hemp bee suit, that would be
Yeah,
sick,
yeah,
dude. Oh, but yeah, so I'm pretty excited about it. I think overall it's a good thing. Yeah, I think I kind
yeah.
of share the same thought as you, where it's just like I don't think this is terrible for me. I just personally, you know I just have to be careful about my usage because I think we talked earlier and you said you kind of you use it
Yeah,
recreationally,
yeah. I
right?
use it. I still
Sorry,
smoke,
I
take
didn't mean to
edibles and
just
stuff like that.
out you,
No,
dude.
no, I still do.
Yeah,
But here's one thing that I will say, because I'm not saying that everybody should go smoke this,
yeah,
and that it's for everybody. I'm just saying, speaking for myself, I've figured out how it works for me,
yeah,
and understanding to have enough discipline in my own life, having the correct judgment to
yeah,
say that if I got things to do, I'm not smoking weed.
yeah,
It's not gonna work like that for me.
yeah,
I have to accomplish all the things that I put in my head for the day.
yeah,
That's the gym, running,
yeah,
getting my work done, emails, phone calls, knock everything out, dinner, everything
yeah,
I gotta do. Then I'm allowed.
yeah,
So yes, I use marijuana, but I have very strict rules as to how I
right,
consume.
yeah,
You know, and I've seen people, I've had family members who, when they smoke, they just smoke and smoke and smoke, and to that I say that's a problem.
yeah,
But that's no different than somebody who likes to eat fried chicken every night,
right,
somebody who likes to drink soda every day.
yeah.
That's
Drinking beers every night too, just getting
it's a
hammered. Yeah.
personal thing that you
Mm-hmm.
have to deal with yourself. So I'm not advocating that marijuana is good for everybody. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, just like alcohol, it is up to you as a human being to be
Right.
smart and responsible enough to know how to regulate it for yourself.
Oh yeah.
If it brings negative things into your life,
Yeah.
then you should probably cut it out. If it enhances your experience
Yeah.
and you find value and there's things that come out of it for you, then
Yeah.
maybe that's for you. And for me, marijuana, it enhances my experience. But
Yeah.
I also, I'm conscious of what it does. I'm conscious of the smoke going into your lungs. I'm conscious of all the things
Yeah.
that it does physiologically for you, both short term and long term too. So
Yeah.
just think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
do
Be
your
smart
do your
about it.
studies.
So
Yeah,
in August, we doing an episode where we sit here and smoke a blunt.
yeah. That sounds like a
All
plan
right.
to
Hell
me.
yeah. That sounds hella fun.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Um. Let's see what else. Oh. I saw this one thing. We talked about adding this as a segment in our podcast when we first
Yeah, a
started
long
it,
time
right?
ago. Yeah,
And I think we just never got around to doing it. And I think, and in the beginning, there were so many things we were still trying to find our voices, still trying to learn each other's like communication styles. So it never became a thing. Hopefully now it can, but Yeah, you're familiar with Hmong Anonymous?
Yeah, yeah, like you said, we talked about it before for a while because Hmong Anonymous is in the Hmong community is like a big old page that's
Yeah.
it's either a lot of serious or troll or a combination of both. Who knows what's
Yeah.
fictional and what's truth? But they usually they have a lot of engagement.
Yeah.
Like a
Yeah.
lot of people engage with it, and I think you found one
Yep.
that
So
that was
I
kind of
found one,
interesting.
and maybe we'll like create like a little because music button
Oh
or
yeah,
like a little segment where it's like any, and we'll do this like at the end of all of our podcasts, where we'll read Among Anonymous and we'll kind of react to it.
yeah,
Maybe we'll have some guests do it too, because I think it'll be kind of
yeah. I
fun
need
just to kind of
something.
hear. Um,
Mic check. Oh no, that doesn't.
okay, we'll have to figure that out, but like we'll have to like have some kind of like funny, I guess audio that we can like cue up this segment or something with.
Mic check. No, never mind. I'm
Okay,
trying to play
we'll
with my
figure it
buttons here.
out. Yeah, we'll figure it out. But okay, so Hmong Anonymous. So this is from an anonymous user. It has 100 likes, 236 comments. I think this is a great topic. But I'm just gonna go ahead and read it. It says, "My mother-in-law has been living with my husband and I for the past couple of years. He's the only son with two sisters that are married out of state. I was under the impression that she was going to get her own place within a few years. Now, me and my husband are finally buying a house. She wants to move in with us, saying she can put her own little house in the backyard. I don't want. Let's see. I don't want that. I'm finally glad we are buying a house. I told her that I wanted it to be just us. I want to work on having kids. I have no privacy. I feel trapped because she said I am not compromising. She said I'm just being selfish. My husband is also agreeing with her. He says she is his mother and she wants to stay. He's not going to kick her out. Now my sister-in-law are messaging me and calling me all sorts of names. I feel like I can't talk to anyone. This kills me. What should I do?
Hmm.
That's huge, right? I think
That's.
as the youngest son, I think like
I mean, I feel like that's all. Like, did my right? Did my wife write that, dude? I'm the only son, and
dude,
with
yeah.
two.
Oh,
Well, no, let me take that back. I have a brother and a sister, but
yeah. But
uh, yeah,
well, in the Hmong culture, like the
that's a
youngest son is supposed to take
Yeah,
on.
is it the youngest son that's really
I
supposed to
thought
do that?
so. I thought so.
Oh,
Oh, dude,
I'm not
we're
sure,
bad. We're bad Hmong.
but uh, yeah, and we addressed it a little bit before we actually started recording, but that's a common thing in the Hmong culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
When the parents get old, we, as opposed to other cultures, are not as likely to probably send our parents to an old folks' home.
Right.
We usually would rather like house that the mom or their dad with one of the sons or daughters.
Yeah.
But when that happens, it always involves a husband or a wife,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so to them, it's not their own parents.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think individually, selfishly, we're always okay with our own parents. And so it asks that we be just as open for our partner's parents too.
Right.
But I can, like my father-in-law lived with me for, I think almost 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's definitely well, it's a challenge. I'm not saying it's a tough challenge. I was very open arms. It's my wife's dad. I treat him just like it would be my own
Mm-hmm.
dad. It's I'm gonna open my house to them. It's no
Yeah.
problem. But I can't understand where someone would not necessarily want that either.
Yeah.
Especially like how this person said they want to start a
Yeah.
family, they want the privacy, and I mean the mother-in-law is asking, which first of all, it's kind of, if you're asking me,
Yeah.
I would do it open heart, but if you are asking me like, hey, when
It's
do I
even
move in with
harder to
yeah,
say
when do I
no.
move in
Yeah.
with you? I'd be like, what you mean when you move in with me? It's my house.
Yeah.
Although I would gladly do it, but the fact that someone asks you, it's
Yeah.
almost like, oh, I'm obligated. I'm
Yeah. Oh, okay.
obligated.
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah.
mean I'm
Yeah.
obligated? You're telling me I'm obligated? Like,
Yeah.
that's different than if I just said, you're welcome to come in.
Yeah.
And then we also talked about what if the in-laws are really what if their personality style makes it very difficult for you,
Yeah.
and
Oh
that
yeah.
creates a problem now that you have with the father and mother-in-law, which then the son or daughter is always going to have a very heavy side leaning up with their parent, right? So
Right.
then it creates a conflict inside the house
Yeah.
that maybe was never needed to be there,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
I definitely agree with you. I think just my initial reaction to this is you gotta take the L. You take
Yeah.
the L. You gotta
I mean,
have
it's the
move in.
right thing to do,
But yeah, it is the right thing to do. But you're
according to
totally
us.
right
According to
in
us.
like one is it sounds like they don't have kids yet, so they want to start a family. You're right though. Like if you have somebody living in your house, a mother-in-law, there's not a lot of room for intimacy. Like we
No.
have two kids. My wife's sister is actually just moved in, and her boyfriend moved in to kind of help us watch the kids as we grow the business. And like, yeah, intimacy has changed, you know, for sure. And so like, I can't imagine having your mother-in-law in the
Yeah.
house. And your other point is great too. It's like, dude, like, what if you've got a, I'm not saying this person's parents are shitty, but yeah, if you got parents that maybe have a substance abuse issue or just have a different lifestyle
But dude,
choice than yourself, like it could be an issue.
we've seen Hmong OGs, man. Some Hmong OGs are crazy, man. I'll say straight up. Some
Yeah,
Hmong
yeah,
OGs are crazy. And so, like, and crazy in the sense that, like, they're going to tell you what to do. They want you
right,
to do things this way. How come you're not cooking? How come you're not cleaning?
yeah,
A lot of Hmong, like, some Hmong OGs are like that. And we're a different generation. So there's a clash of generation,
oh yeah,
too.
for
So it's
sure,
like, if you come in and tell me, I'm in my own house, and now you
yeah,
tell me, how come this ain't clean, all this and stuff?
that's gonna be an issue.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Eventually, I'm gonna be like, yo, you live with me, right?
yeah,
You understand
this
that.
is my
But
house.
then they're gonna use the other rule, which is no, but I'm the father, I get to say that, and I
Yeah,
just don't jive that way.
yeah,
Now, if the in-laws come in and the in-laws are very respectful, understanding that they're taking up some of your space,
yeah,
then it's reciprocal.
yeah,
It's not an issue to me. I want you here anyway, you know.
yeah,
So, but I rather that relationship than the butt head relationship, you know,
right,
because
yeah,
that probably will happen if
yeah.
it hasn't already happened.
Yeah, and for sure, I think you have to for sure set ground rules too. Like
Yeah.
especially if they're coming in. I think there's a term uh in Hmong is GJ or Nichena.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like the
yeah.
owner of the
Right,
house,
right,
right? Who
right.
runs the
The
house, right?
household, yeah.
So if they come in, they have to understand that you're the mom of the house. This is your house, and and you kind of have to set those boundaries. And I would set those boundaries like early on,
Yeah.
or even like even as you guys are having conversations about this, like, all right, this can happen, but if you said you were gonna move out by this date, I need this to happen,
Yeah.
or I'm gonna help you with get this and this going. But like, I think whatever those rules are, you guys just need to lay down some kind of boundaries, um, and you know, but also if one of those boundaries is no, you're not living in my house.
Yeah. I mean
That's
that one
understandable
yeah.
too, but like, it is tough.
Here's how I came to the solution, because I assume that at some point I am the only son, the
Mhm.
youngest son, and I absolutely want to bring my parents in. I've talked about this with my wife
Yeah,
already, that I want to bring my parents in,
yeah,
because I want to take care of them. I don't want to take them to a retirement home. That's very expensive to do, to actually bring your parents in and
yeah,
support them, especially as they get real old and they actually need the
right,
support, stuff like that. And I kind of came to the conclusion for me, and this is
yeah,
not for everybody. I'm just speaking for myself always. Is I'm gonna work my ass off, make as much money as I
yeah,
can, and then I'm gonna buy a big ass house
yeah,
so that it feels like we don't
yeah,
even live together.
yeah,
But we still do, right? You're
right,
only down the hall, but that hallway is pretty long. So
right,
it's like we don't even live together.
yeah,
Like that would be the only way, because I can't understand. I mean, it's just like us, right? Or it's like you know, and I know you love your wife and your kids, but when the place is small,
yeah.
there's just something about human beings when we're in the same space
You're
all
just
the
gonna
time.
butt heads all the
Exactly. You're
time.
just
Yeah,
going to butt heads. So if it's large enough, then you might butt heads, but at the end of the day, you walk that way, I go this way. We're in the
right. We
same
got our own
house.
space where
Yeah,
we
we're in
can
the
go
same
and
house, but we're
wind down.
separated. So I know that's not an opportunity for everybody, and that you can't. Not everybody can just go buy a big house. I'm not saying that even I can, but in my head, that's what I said I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get me a big house
Yeah,
where we can have the best of both
yep,
worlds, and that's just the way I choose to look at it. That's what
yeah,
motivates me to say I'm gonna work hard, because I do want my parents with me. But I'm also very honest about the idea of, I know how my parents are. To put them with my wife, it's also not fair for my wife
Right.
to have to deal
Yeah.
with my parents when they're being a certain way. And my parents are just being who they are, you know. And you
Yeah.
get old, you stick to your ways, you know. You get
Yep.
old, you're comfortable in your
Yep.
ways. And I don't want to put that as a burden onto my wife either. And I don't think that my wife should have to bear that. And even if I brought my mother-in-law in, same thing. I would want her to have her space because they need their spaces too. They don't want us around all the time, you know. Because as much as it is our house, it also becomes their house, you
Right.
know. So
Yeah.
you know, you're gonna like you almost need two kitchens. You know,
Exactly.
two
Exactly.
kitchens.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's no right or wrong answer.
There is no
to
right or
this.
wrong.
Man, this is
a-
crazy. This is a hot topic in our community because this happens a lot.
It happens a lot.
And I
Yeah.
would say, man, one of the things that has led to the success of the Hmong community is like the
Yeah.
tightness of their
I
families.
don't think it should go away. I
you
think
know?
that's the beautiful
Yeah.
part about the Hmong
Yeah.
culture is that we're not so quick to send our parents out
Right.
to the retirement home. We just
Exactly.
all work together, you know. And I hope that stays like that for as long as possible. As specifically when we talk about Hmong in Western society,
Yeah.
because it still happens, obviously in
Yep,
Laos or
exactly.
Thailand or whatever. But
Yeah.
but I can see that, you know, there might be a time when that starts to fade away
Right.
in the U.S. and
Yeah.
France, Australia.
And I think that still absolutely can happen, but I think it takes good communication between the spouses, between the parents coming in, and just kind of setting those ground rules like early on, and just being empathetic to each other,
To
and
each
trying
other,
to
yes.
understand each other.
Whew, that's hard sometimes.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
easy, but yeah,
But it's needed. Yeah.
yeah. These are kind of fun, man. Like I hope we can continue to do like these segments like this though, because like I read those posts every time it comes
Yeah.
up. I read all of those posts, man, and because a lot of them are really close to our community, similar to this post. And
Mhm.
hopefully we can continue this. Hopefully we can make a segment, add some music or something. But I think that's it for today, right?
Yeah. We wanted to have a short, sweet podcast. Just catch up on all the things that we've done. I mean, the podcast is its own little adventure.
Yeah.
You know that we're starting to have more and more people that are following, subscribing, and that's great.
Yeah.
You know, we're doing it for ourselves, but we're also doing it for you guys. And when you guys subscribe, when you guys leave comments, when you guys like videos, we love seeing the engagement from the community. It just it motivates us to do more, to
Yeah.
see more, to seek more, to be more open minded to ourselves, to who we speak with, and
Yeah.
like it's just cool. Like No Eggs Podcast is just an idea, and now it's rolling. We've got 10 episodes on the board. We've had 5 different guests.
Right.
I mean, the last, like you and I were just talking quick before we end. We're just talking about like our Instagram this week, because Sophia has such a big influence.
Yeah.
Like
My phone hasn't stopped ringing.
yeah, my
like,
phone
it's
hasn't stopped
just-
ringing,
Yeah.
and it's like, and it's great. It gives us more people that pay attention to us, and then that's how from more people we get to hear more opinions
Yes.
about things, and that allows us to kind of like navigate, like, okay, what do we speak about on the next podcast? What do people want to hear about?
Exactly.
You know, and so it's cool. We appreciate, I really do, especially, you know, I know that we do.
Mhm.
But yeah, we truly appreciate just people subscribing, watching, liking,
Yeah.
sharing.
Exactly. And if you don't agree with us, because we are just two idiots.
Yeah,
Right, at the
if
end
you
of
don't
the
agree
day,
with us,
Um,
let it be known.
let it be known.
I
Yeah,
wanna
come
hear.
talk to us.
I
Shoot
wanna
us a
hear.
message, comment in our thing, come on the podcast. We'll talk about it.
Yeah,
And
we-
if there's something that, hey, we get wrong in the podcast, all
Yeah.
good. We're not set in our ways.
Yeah,
we're still
exactly.
figuring things
We
out
are not
ourselves.
here to fight. We are here to
Learn.
hear your point. Yeah, and
Exactly.
see if maybe we have to adjust our own. You know.
Awesome.
So, all right, that'll wrap up this podcast, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Yes.
See you later.
Yep.